Recycling. It's a word we hear almost every day, a concept that has become ingrained in our daily lives. A concept drilled into us from childhood, taught in schools and reinforced by society. We're told it's crucial for saving our planet. But is it really as effective as we believe? Is recycling the answer to our environmental woes? Or is it just a comforting illusion that makes us feel better? The truth, as with most things, is complex and multifaceted. Recycling is vital, yes, but our current systems are flawed and often inefficient. We produce an astounding amount of waste, and much of it doesn't get recycled properly, if at all. The system is overwhelmed. We've placed our faith in a system that, in many ways, is failing us, leaving us with more questions than answers. The problem isn't the concept itself, which remains sound and necessary. Recycling at its core is a simple and effective idea, reusing materials to reduce waste and conserve resources. It has great potential. The issue lies in the execution, in the gap between our good intentions and the reality of our actions. This gap is where the system falters. To understand this disconnect, we must first journey back in time to explore the origins of recycling and understand how it evolved over the centuries. Only then can we see the full picture and work towards a more effective system. Recycling isn't a modern invention. It's a practice as old as humanity itself. For millennia, resources were scarce and people couldn't afford to be wasteful. They reused and repurposed materials out of necessity, not environmental concern. One of the earliest examples of organized recycling dates back to 1031 in Japan. Paper was a precious commodity, and the Japanese were determined to conserve it. They developed sophisticated methods of paper recycling, transforming old documents and books into new sheets. This tradition wasn't limited to Japan. Across the globe, from the Americas to Africa, ancient civilizations practiced forms of recycling. Broken tools were melted down and reforged. Pottery shards were ground into powder and used in construction. Even food scraps were composted, returning nutrients to the soil. The Middle Ages saw the rise of rag and bone men, itinerant peddlers who collected discarded materials from towns and villages. These individuals were the unsung heroes of their time, scavenging for anything that could be reused or repurposed. These early recyclers played a crucial role in the circular economy, ensuring that nothing went to waste. They collected everything from old clothes to broken tools, breathing new life into what others had discarded. Metals were salvaged, broken glass was melted down, and even animal bones were used to make glue and fertilizer. This process was labor-intensive but essential for the sustainability of their communities. During the American Revolution, recycling took on a patriotic significance. Citizens were encouraged to contribute to the war effort by recycling materials. Paper was scarce, so citizens were urged to donate any scrap paper they could find. This collective effort was vital for the production of essential wartime supplies. This recycled paper was then used to make cartridges for the Continental Army. The resourcefulness of the people helped sustain the military during critical times. The Industrial Revolution brought about a dramatic shift in production and consumption patterns. Factories began to produce goods on a massive scale, changing the landscape of recycling. Mass production made goods cheaper and more readily available, leading to a surge in waste. The increase in consumer goods also meant an increase in discarded materials. Yet, even then, recycling remained prevalent. People continued to find ways to reuse and repurpose materials, adapting to the changing times. Scrap metal from factories was a valuable resource, and industries emerged to capitalize on this. These early recycling industries laid the groundwork for modern recycling practices, showing the enduring importance of resourcefulness. The two world wars further highlighted the importance of recycling. With resources stretched thin, governments implemented rationing and encouraged citizens to recycle everything from metal to rubber to fat, which was used to make explosives. These wartime efforts demonstrated the power of collective action and the crucial role of recycling in times of scarcity. The post-war economic boom, however, ushered in an era of consumerism. Plastic, a new wonder material, flooded the market. It was cheap, durable and convenient, but it came with a hidden cost disposability. Our throwaway culture was born. The environmental movement of the 1960s and 70s brought renewed attention to the issue of waste. Images of overflowing landfills and polluted oceans sparked public outrage. Recycling re-emerged as a solution, a way to mitigate our impact on the planet. A broken system. Today, recycling is ubiquitous. Curbside collection programs are commonplace, and we're bombarded with messages about the importance of sorting our trash. But behind this facade of environmental responsibility lies a system riddled with problems. The sad truth is that a large percentage of what we put in our recycling bins doesn't actually get recycled. Contamination is a major issue. When non-recyclable materials end up mixed with recyclables, it can contaminate the entire batch, rendering it unprocessable. Moreover, the economics of recycling are challenging. Processing recycled materials can be expensive, and the demand for these materials often fluctuates. This is particularly true for plastics, many of which are difficult to recycle and have limited markets. The global recycling trade. Adding to these complexities is the global nature of the recycling trade, which involves intricate networks spanning across continents. For decades, developed countries have been shipping their plastic waste to developing nations, often under the guise of recycling, but the reality is far more troubling. However, much of this waste ends up dumped or incinerated, causing significant environmental and health problems in these countries, affecting local communities and ecosystems. China, once the world's largest importer of plastic waste, has drastically restricted imports in recent years, leading to a major shift in the global recycling landscape. This has sent shockwaves through the global recycling industry, forcing developed nations to confront their own waste management practices and rethink their strategies. The reality is that we cannot simply recycle our way out of this crisis. The sheer volume of waste is overwhelming our current systems. We need to fundamentally rethink our relationship with consumption and waste, starting with our daily habits and choices. We need to reduce our reliance on single-use plastics, which are a major contributor to the problem, design products with recyclability in mind, ensuring they can be effectively processed and reused, and invest in more efficient and sustainable recycling technologies which can handle the complexities of modern waste and reduce environmental impact. The price of our waste. The environmental consequences of improper recycling are far-reaching. Landfills, overflowing with our discarded waste, leach harmful pollutants into the soil and groundwater. Plastic waste, in particular, poses a significant threat to marine life. It entangles and suffocates marine animals and breaks down into microplastics which contaminate the food chain. Incineration, another common method of waste disposal, releases toxic pollutants into the air, contributing to air pollution and climate change. The environmental costs of our throwaway culture are immense, and they disproportionately impact marginalized communities who often bear the brunt of pollution and environmental degradation. Towards a sustainable future. So what can be done? The solution requires a multi-pronged approach involving government regulations, industry innovation and individual action. Governments need to implement stricter regulations on waste exports, ban single-use plastics and invest in domestic recycling infrastructure. The private sector must take responsibility for the entire life cycle of their products, from design to disposal. This includes designing products with recyclability in mind, using recycled materials in production, and taking back products at the end of their life. A call to action. As individuals, we can all make a difference. We can reduce our consumption, choose reusable alternatives to single-use plastics, and be more mindful of what we buy and how we dispose of it. We can also support businesses that prioritize sustainability and hold our elected officials accountable for implementing environmentally sound policies. It's time to move beyond the simplistic notion that recycling alone is the answer. We need a paradigm shift, a fundamental change in how we view and manage waste. This requires a collective effort, a recognition that we are all interconnected and that our actions have consequences. A greener tomorrow. The future of our planet depends on our ability to break free from our throwaway culture and embrace a more circular economy. It requires a commitment to reducing waste, reusing materials, and designing products and systems that minimize their environmental impact. It's a daunting challenge, but it's not insurmountable. By working together, we can create a more sustainable future, one where recycling is not just a feel-good practice, but an integral part of a closed-loop system that values resources and minimizes waste. Let's choose to be part of the solution, not the problem. Let's build a greener tomorrow together. That's it for now. Thanks for watching Mind Matters Expert. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more informative and interesting videos.